Well, I thought I beat the darkness, but they dragged the races a little bit here. Post time was supposed to be 8:34. It's 10 after 9, and I just got my suit off. So, heading back to Brunswick now from Northfield Park, and a decently productive day. Now, I will, you know what, I'll stop right here where there's light, and I'm going to go through it with you right now. Now, I had a number of people message me after Captain Incredible's race. Anthony, what is wrong with Captain Incredible? That was a terrible race. Well, I told you guys last week, you know, with his gait and the way he spins off the turf, maybe he just doesn't get a hold of Kentucky very well. He's raced 2 bad races this year, in the entire year. 2. And they were both in Kentucky. Now, I will say this. I will leave the door open for this. Dr. Brown actually messaged me about an hour after the race. And I know he watched the race. He said, what was your thoughts on Captain Incredible? I said, well, Yannick said, apparently, now I haven't talked to Yannick, but Yannick told Tim that he was flat, felt like he had no power. He said, well, you know, when we did that work on him, we did use some cortisone. And if he is an EPM horse, that could do it. That could do it. And I said, well, Doc, it could. But at the end of the day, I'm not bringing him back down to Kentucky, right? There's nothing we can do about that right now. We've treated him for EPM, 2 doses now. We can go back with a stronger dose his next time out, but that still is not enough for me to run him back down to Kentucky. There's just no need of it at this point. There's still some races for him in Pennsylvania. There are other races for him that, quite frankly, he hasn't shown he's good enough right now. I said, but at the end of the day, he put it the best. I said, you know what? He's a racehorse, and we're going to race him. He said, well, you know what? He doesn't lay eggs. He doesn't. You can't milk him, so you're going to have to race him. That's just the way it is. And unfortunately, you know, that's a funny way of putting it. Obviously, it stings a little bit that the horse hasn't done what we wanted him to. You know, I did gamble a lot of his staking being in Kentucky. He did race okay there last year. You know, that 52-27 flying on the end of it. But when it comes to his 3-year-old season, maybe it is the EPM, maybe it is the track. Regardless of what it is, he has not raced good his last 2 starts. He can go back to Pennsylvania. We will school him and make sure that all the coal is burning in his engine before we put him back on the track. Then we're going to have to pivot, which I wasn't planning on doing, but pivot and figure out what we're going to do with Captain Incredible for the rest of 2025 and what our plans are after that. What I mean is, when do we shut him down? When does it make the most sense to shut him down? And when do we bring him back? I'd like to give him a lengthy holiday because I would like to see the best form of a much more matured Captain Incredible when he comes back. Now, I can't, in good faith, I can tell you that I would hope and pray and think that he would be a top flight pacer. But you and I both know, everybody out there listening to this knows, there is a thin line between a very, very good horse and a pretty good horse. Pretty good horses top out around 70 or 80,000 made, which he'll get to, regardless. After that, it becomes a little dicey, right? They'll creep their way up to X amount of dollars, but they won't chunk away at bigger races, right? Nothing I've just told you isn't shocking. It shouldn't be new to you, and it certainly is far from undocumented. So the plan with Captain Incredible is pivot back to Pennsylvania. Make sure that he is pacing better. If he is a little flat, if Dr. Brown is right, and possibly it is EPM that is bothering him from the work we did on him, okay, that will pass as we continue to treat him. Where we race him and where we go from here, I don't know. I'll bring that to all of you and all my partners over the coming weeks, but for right now, that's it for Kentucky, right? And I should say, if I'm right, and it's just the Stone Dust track, Corbin is a good place for him also. But certainly no cakewalks there either. So there's no easy racing ahead for Captain Incredible, but I would like to get a handle on what I've watched the last 2 weeks and how we turn it into something a little closer to what we've watched all year long at the Meadows. So that is Captain Incredible. Woodmere Bullet was 3rd tonight. He's an okay horse, you know, big, lanky, slobby-looking horse. He'll turn into a stronger, quicker 3-year-old, I would imagine. But he does have the 2-year-old mark at 58. I think he's got probably, I don't know, you'd have to estimate a couple, 2-3 races left, something like that. And then we'll put him away for his 2-year-old season. Steph's Hope, we're going to put her away. But it'll be in a much more permanent way. I just can't, you know, I'll put it as bluntly as I can. When we've seen it, and I like Steph's Hope. So I I wish I could find a better way to put it than this. There's winners and there's losers, and we have to start moving the losers. And with Steph's Hope, Trot's nice. She tried tonight. And sure, I'm sure there's some, maybe she tied up a little bit, maybe she's in heat a little bit, but you have to be able to persevere. And when I say that, a good example of that is Judy's Money. Judy's Money's hit that left hind. It bruised her. It bothers her. You saw her in the turns tonight. But I put her in a position to win. Sitting third and coming first over into that filly was a losing situation. That was a way to lose. I moved her at the quarter pole, put pressure on the horse that I knew was the horse to beat. That horse might have been 17-1. That horse whacked out 1:56 its last start. That was the horse to beat. I put her on the front, and she toughed it out and drove off to win. Didn't eke it out, didn't walk under the wire, did every ounce she could and got the job done because she is a winner. Muscle Chrome tonight, she was 2 holes in her hobbles probably away from getting to the winner's circle. When I ducked her down to the inside, those hobbles were a little too tight. They bit into her. What I mean by that is she went to stretch out and the hobbles were there. They handcuffed her, zapped her energy, and she could beat at the wire. Otherwise, she drops in and she just kind of lumbers through to win the race. But did well. Now, I tightened her hobbles up because I planned on leaving with her. I planned on putting her in the race, putting her in a position to win. Now, you saw what happened. The 2 and 4 went into there, but because we could put pressure on them, Aaron and I could put pressure on the inside horses, they tipped over, both of them. That's part of racing, right? And that's exactly what I wanted to do tonight. Dan's horse came first over. If I had have floated out onto Dan's back, right, the horses I had to beat in my mind were in front of me. Tyler was there, but really a non-factor in my mind, right? I could have easily moved out on Dan's back, moved 3 deep, kind of blocked Tyler a little bit, and he probably doesn't beat me. But I took the path of least resistance, dropped down to the inside, and you could see if you watch, I don't know if they show the run out after the race. Actually, I don't think they do. I was kind of messing with their hobbles and let them out 2 holes. When I pulled up, I said, all right, this is where her hobbles go from now on. We changed her shoes. She was hitting very little. Her attitude was great. Now, if you watch in our earlier videos from today, and I have a lot of them for you guys this week, her white count still was up around 10-1, but Dr. Latessa said he thinks there's more to it than that. He didn't believe it was respiratory. There might be something else going on that we have to find out and treat and work on. He believes it might be ulcers, but and he could very well be right. But still, it was elevated. And as I said to him, it may not be attributed to her respiratory system, but having that white count up and having her body working to fight something obviously has to take away from a little bit of her competitiveness. So I thought she raced well tonight, and then to finish out the night, Judy's Money was just tremendous. You know, it's so nice to drive a horse that knows how to win and wants to win. When I moved her, she accelerated now, right to the front. Down the backstretch, tapped her on the tail and put the bit in her mouth because she wasn't letting that horse any closer than her saddle pad. Around the last turn, a little bumpy, touching herself, getting out of gear. I just had to hold her together, set her out a half length off the pylons, leave her alone, come to the head of the lane, call on her, gone again, wins the race. That's what winners do. And as I said to Dominic, and I said to you, and I say to my wife and everyone else, it's time to take a look and reassess all the burn. Right? The losers got to go. And that's just the way it is. And there are some of them. They're going to do decent work for other people. You're going to see them race. You can't pick up a program anywhere in North America without seeing a horse in there likely that has gone through our system, through our burn. But I talked about it at length today, and I will over the next few weeks. As the yearling sales approach, we want to make sure the horses that are in the field, that are our horses that we own, are horses that we are saying, yes, I believe this is a horse that can and will mature into a competitive, good sophomore that will do some good for the burn. If the answer is no, they got to go. And that's just the way it is. So, a better night tonight, as I said. I didn't feel that anybody, you guys know, you saw the mood that I was in over the last 3 weeks. We were in a funk. Right? There was something going through the barn. The horses weren't racing good. But a lot of the stuff that went on this week, I didn't see any concerns where I'm like, oh my God, here we go again. Right? Even looking back to horses that didn't race well, they just didn't race well. Right? It wasn't that they were sick. I'm looking through the whole list right now. Oh, Zena Kemp is the only one. Her blood was a mess, by the way. She was the only one that raced bad. And you're like, well, I couldn't really, why would that horse race bad? One horse that I'm looking at so far. Grand Slam Dio, scoped sick. There's the second one out of the whole week of horses that just mysteriously raced bad. 2 horses. 2. Still at 2. And staying at 2. Steph's Hope, she could have mucus. She might have bled a little bit. She might have tied up. Like I said, it doesn't matter. I can't keep making excuses for horses that are obviously inferior. I love the filly. She tries. I can't ask her to do any more than that. I'm not mad at her because she's not a better horse, but I have a responsibility to us, to you, and to our barn and our brand, so to speak. So I think Steph's Hope will be amongst a list of horses that are being penciled into upcoming sales here in the near future. So there you have it. Not a bad night. Captain Incredible back to the Stone Dust tracks. I believe that is the kicker. That's it right there. I might be wrong. Maybe Dr. Brown is wrong, and maybe EPM is playing a role. Either way, that will be answered very, very soon. Woodmere Bullet, rinse and repeat. If there's something more to rinse and repeat. Steph's Hope's got to go. Tomboy Strong was very good. Judy's Money was superb. Just another decent night at the barn. Tomorrow, Winter Soldier. I have very high expectations for this horse. He really wowed me in training this week, and I think he's in a very good spot tomorrow. JK Victory, Grand River, 2-1. It's a good spot for him too. Good. Neptune, we got to get this guy over to the Pennsylvania. Jesus, 20-1. I don't like that. And Blue Ventura, train good, but again, 12-1's probably fair, being off 3, 4, 5 weeks, whatever he was off. Trained good and was happy and strong the other day training. So I'll do my best. Try not to tax him too early, but get him in a spot where he can do as much good work as he can tomorrow at Northfield. Tuesday, Raging Hanover makes his debut for the stable. He is 5-2. I assume that's picked to win. Emerald Tom, 7-2. His blood work, I believe, came back good. I gotta talk to Dr. Tessa again about that. 5-2 with Uncle Danny. I'm liking what I'm seeing. 3-1 with Lifting Legend. 5-2 with Supermind, and 7-5. This should be a very productive Tuesday for us at the barn. So there you have it. I'm on my way home. Amy's on her way home from Ontario. A new day tomorrow. Tuesday's going to be cool. Tuesday's the sale also. It is Scioto Downs for the horses. That's good. Uncle Danny likes his Scioto. So does Supermind and Emerald Tom. Tuesday is going to be a cool day. That's the sale. No realistic predictions. If we find a horse we like and Amy's going down, I told Amy, this is what I'll do. I'll get up early. Now, if you guys don't know this, Ava goes to a different school than Ollie and Addie now. She's in high school now, so she goes to Walsh Jesuit, which is in the middle of nowhere that way, and Addie and Ollie go to school here, down there. So 2 totally different directions. I told her, I said, I will take Ava to school. I will drop the girls, or I will drop Ollie and Addie off at St. Barnabas, and then I will go directly to the sale. You get up early and go directly to the sale before me. Have a look around. We have 11 horses on the list. Now, I will tell you this right now. I will tell you this right now. Last year's list, we had 5, 6, 7 horses, and Amy pulled Judy's Money out of thin air. She wasn't on either of our lists. So again, Amy, left to her devices, you know, she knows what a good horse is supposed to look like too. But we all think we do, right? We all want to find the horses we like, and it's easier said than done. But she knows what she's looking for, and she knows what we're looking for. So Amy's going to head down, just have a morning to herself, which she deserves. Head down to the sale, go to the sale. She's going to have to leave by 12 or 12:30 to come back here. I think I'm going to stay down there and just and go to Scioto afterwards. That'll be my plan for the day. So it's going to be an entire Tuesday for me. I appreciate all the emails, all the messages, all the texts from everybody about the upcoming sales, about buckets, about the horses, about everything in general. That's why we're here. So take care. Finished our week off as good as you could. Hopefully we start our week every bit as good tomorrow. Take care, everybody.